Hi, I'm Linz. Welcome to Becoming Everwell, a channel where we talk about the ongoing journey of becoming. I am a former high school English teacher who believes that an education extends far beyond academics, and I write stories about small sacred moments of clarity that come about in the pockets of life. Today's piece picks up with the question, why? In a culture that tends to default more toward criticism and judgment than towards support and acceptance, would one put themselves out there as a writer about vulnerable, personal topics? This is The Writer, Part 2. I make sense of life by writing about real everyday stuff that makes us who we are. Some of these snapshots are fun, some are more serious. Maybe they'll open up something in you too. Let's grow. As I mentioned in part 1 of this series, this conversation is a beginning, a starting point for an inquiry of why. Why be vulnerable when there's always an opportunity to keep to oneself? Why share one's writing with an audience? Why write at all? And why publish to a place like Substack or YouTube? And just as I'm asking these questions to myself, I invite you to ask similar questions to yourself. The intended audience for this series is writers and readers, and I'm inspired to do this for some inner clarity for myself. I hope it benefits you along the way too. So here's my first reflection and reason on why share writing with an audience. So many, many moons ago, a loved one of mine almost married someone who was perfect on paper, also perfect by appearance, but I never truly liked him because of a frustrating personality trait of his. He acted as though he already knew everything about human nature. He behaved as though he'd already figured out how to be a fully formed human at age 22. So like if you'd share with him something obscure that you'd observed about people, like I've noticed that people tend to sniff a lot when they seem to be saying something dishonest, he would nod knowingly and make it seem like he'd already observed that too. I mean, really? Had he really observed that too? I remember getting creative and sneaky with my comments to test him out by bringing up things that he couldn't possibly know about, like what the ambiance felt like at a restaurant in a city he'd never been to, or about the sensation of menstrual cramps. And always an annoying Mr. Know-it-all. It seemed to me that his ego couldn't handle others knowing things that he didn't already know about being a person. I wished for him and for all of us who surrounded him that rather than being a know-it-all, he'd choose instead to learn from others' experiences and respond with curiosity, because a little wonder about the unknown goes a long way. Even now, in my late 40s, I am so far from knowing all there is to know about being a person. And that is part of why I write and publish my essays on Substack and then share them here on YouTube. The more of life's little moments that I experience, the more I learn about personhood. And I get so energized by aspects of what I learn that I'm compelled to share those learnings so that others too may benefit from the growth should the desire be there. Also, I want to learn from people who are actively personing, so I seek out the life learnings, personal stories, and wisdom from others who will risk being vulnerable to share them. I believe that we all have stories and experiences that are fodder for worthwhile self-learning, and I'm grateful that so many stories exist for me to consume and therefore expand my mind and heart. For me, this is the point of human life, to be emotionally alive, fertile, and curious so that the experience of living on one's own and in relationships is meaningful. So why share my writing with an audience? Because my spirit is fueled by the narrative writings of others. So I contribute what I'm able to offer to the greater resource of thoughtful content on personhood. I'll be back with another reflection soon. In the meantime, let's keep growing. I'm Lindsay Hurdy. Learn more about me and my offerings on my Substack, lindsayhurdy.substack.com. And if you've got something that you'd like to preserve in writing, but need some support in the process, consider my services, especially my letter writing services, which can be found at foreverletterwriting.com. So whether you're here for help with writing or a desire for inner fulfillment coaching or for the quiet inner growth that hopefully accompanies my stories, I'm grateful that you found this spot, and I hope you'll keep coming back. I'm sheathing you in blue, and if you don't know what that means, you're going to want to check out my video called The Perfect Blue. Until next time. Be sure to like and subscribe and click that bell to get alerts for new posts. I'd be ever grateful.